Welcome back, second graders. We're going to continue our conversation and our readings about biographies. Can you guys remind me what a biography is? That's right, a biography is a book that's written about somebody and their life. Today, we're going to be reading this book, I Am Rosa Parks. So this book is going to be all about Rosa Parks and her life. And second graders, while we read, what is something that we can do to become even better readers? That's right, we can ask questions while we read. What kind of questions should we ask ourselves to understand the story better? Yeah, we should ask questions like who, what, when, and where, so we can keep track of the story in our minds to make ourselves a better reader. So second graders, the last few times that we read about biographies, we made a chart like this one. And we're going to make another chart for Rosa Parks, this book that we're about to read. So if you want to pause the video and copy this chart onto your paper, that would be great. Alrighty, now that we both have our charts, let's get reading. Now it's important to know that while we're taking our notes, you can either write or draw your notes if that's easier for you. I am Rosa Parks. I am Rosa Parks. That's right, second graders, we just answered a who question. So to keep track of the story in our minds, we're going to pull out our handy dandy chart. And under who, we're going to write Rosa Parks. Now you can either write her name or you can draw a picture of her. I chose to write her name. Rosa is spelled R-O-S-A and Parks is spelled P-A-R-K-S. Wonderful. Let's keep reading. Growing up, I was small for my age. I was sick a lot too, since we didn't have money for a doctor. But that didn't mean I was weak. Looks like you are. I'm not that short. This is a little chart that says most kids, Rosa's younger brother, and Rosa. When I was 11, as I was walking home from school, a boy on roller skates came zipping by and he shoved me. He thought I'd be an easy target. Second graders, we just answered another question. So, what happened here? Yeah, a boy on roller skates shoved Rosa Parks. He was being very, very mean to her. And when did this happen? Do we know? Yeah, so this happened when she was 11. So let's get out our chart. And under our what, we can draw either a picture of roller skates and I think that's what I'm going to do. So these are my roller skates. Those are the little shoes with the wheels on them. And I'm going to put a frowny face because that boy was being mean to her. And when did this happen? Let's reread. When I was 11, as I was walking home from school. Okay, so she was 11 years old. So I'm going to write 11 years old. Perfect. Let's keep reading. To his surprise, I turned around and pushed him back. I knew fighting was wrong, but I didn't want him picking on me again. Did you just push my son? Uh-oh, this is going to be bad. His mother saw what happened, and she was mad that I pushed him. But you know what made her even madder? I was black and her son was white. She immediately started yelling, I'll have you put in jail. You'll never get out again. No question, it was scary, But my mother and grandfather taught me to respect myself and to expect respect from others. So instead of backing down, I stood my ground and calmly but firmly I explained, "Your son was the one who pushed me. I didn't bother him at all." I wasn't just standing up to that mom or even to that boy on roller skates. I was standing up for myself. After that, the boy and his mom never bothered me again. Still, it's hard to change things. Sometimes it can take a long time. So let's stop and think about what happened. So let's ask ourselves who. So who was involved in this part of the story? Yeah, Rosa Parks and the mom. And what happened? That's right, she stood up for herself. So, on our chart, to keep track of the story, so who, that was Rosa Parks. And what did she do? She stood up for herself. So you can either write that or draw a picture of what happened. I'm going to write stood up for herself. Let's keep reading. Back then, if you were black, you were treated unfairly just because the color of your skin. You weren't allowed to live in the same neighborhood as a white person, eat in the same restaurant, ride the same elevator, or use the same bathroom. You couldn't even drink from the same water fountain. One was marked for whites and the other was for colored. When I was little, I used to wonder if white water tasted different from colored water. I even wondered if colored water came in lots of different colors. But it didn't. The only difference was I had to walk outside or even down the block to get mine. Of course, it wasn't just about the water fountains. This was my school, a small, old wooden building with one room and one teacher for all of us. Everyone from the 5-year-olds to the 6th graders were stuffed in that one room. There were no windows, no desks, and barely any books. Since most of the kids had to work on a farm to earn money, we only went to school 5 months out of the year. Less school, hooray! Don't say hooray. This is bad. We also brought our books from home every night. Why? Because we were worried that folks who hated the color of our skin would burn down our school. That would be horrible. Now here's the school for kids who are white. Notice the difference? It was a new brick building with beautiful windows, new desks, and plenty of books, plus a playground. They went to school 9 months out of the year since they weren't working. Now can we say hooray? No, there's no hooray about this. Also, if you were black, you had to walk to school. If you were white, you got to take the bus. The worst part was, when I'd walk home with my brother, the kids on the bus would throw trash at us. It made me feel horrible. Back then, there were no civil rights. The only solution was to move off the road, and really, what solution was that? As I got older, things didn't change much. One winter, I was waiting for the local city bus. If you were black, you had to ride in the back of the bus. If you were white, you rode up front. On that day, the back of the bus was packed. "There's no room in here, lady." But there were plenty of seats in the front. I was just trying to find a place to sit, but as soon as I entered through the front door of the bus, "What do you think you're doing? You need to get off and use the back door. Only whites can come in the front." "But I'm already in." I tried to explain that there was no room to get in through the back. The driver didn't care. He wanted me off the bus. He grabbed me by my coat sleeve. I dropped my purse near the front door. To pick it up, I sat in the front seat, a white seat. It made the driver madder than ever. That's it, get out, get off my bus. That's what he called it, my bus, as if it were his. The bus wasn't his, though. It belonged to all of us. Still, that afternoon, the driver got his way. He kicked me off. See you soon. Yes, you will. But I promise you, that wasn't the last time I'd face that bus driver. From there, in addition to working as a seamstress, which is someone who sews clothes, I started working to change things. At the NAACP, we fought for fairer laws and made sure that people's stories were heard. Tell me what happened next. Also, I stopped using the colored water fountains. I'd rather go thirsty than be treated so poorly. It was the same with separate elevators. Instead of riding them, I'd take the stairs. But as for real change, even I didn't know what was coming. It was the end of a busy Thursday. I was 42 years old and on the bus going home. Let's stop and think. So we just answered a when question and a where question. So let's get out our charts. And under the when, it was when Rosa Parks was 42 years old. So I wrote 42 years old. And where was she? She was on the bus. So you can either say on the bus, or you can draw a picture of the bus, or you can just say bus, on the bus. Alrighty, I have some more questions, like what happened when she was 42 on that bus. So let's keep reading and find out. This time, I was sitting in the first row of seats that were allowed for Black people. There was one man next to me and two women across from me. It was the same driver from before, the exact same one from all those years earlier. At the third stop, a few white people got on, filling the rest of the empty seats. There was one white person left standing, so the driver told those of us in my row, "Let me have those front seats." At first, none of us moved, but when he asked again, "Y'all better make it light on yourselves and let me have those seats," the other three people got up, and I stayed right where I was. So that's what happened. So Rosa Parks stayed right where she was. So under the what? So we know when she was 42, she was on the bus, and what happened? She didn't get up. So I say she didn't move. You can either say like she didn't get up or she didn't move, or you can draw a picture of her staying in her seat. Let's keep reading. Sliding over to the window, I thought about what he was demanding. He wanted to take my seat away. He wanted to give it to that man. And why? Because I was Black and the man was white? I knew what the rule said, but I also knew in my heart that's not how you treat people. Without a doubt, the driver was mad, but I never lost my cool. I never raised my voice. "Are you gonna get up?" No. People say that the reason I refused to give up my seat was because I was tired, and I was. But it wasn't the kind of tired that came from aching feet. The only tired I was tired of giving in. Before me, there were other brave women who had refused to give up their seats. Still, on that day, for violating the rules of the Montgomery, Alabama, I got arrested. But by standing up for myself, I started a movement. From there, the Montgomery Bus Boycott began for 381 days. That's well over a year. All Blacks in the city, and even a few whites, refused to ride the public buses. So let's see. Let's stop and ask ourselves a who, what, when, and where question from what we just read. So who? All blacks in the city and even a few whites. Alrighty. So under our who, I'm just going to draw people of the city. So I'm going to say people of the city. These are my people of the city. And what happened? That's right, they didn't ride the bus. So I'm going to draw a picture of a bus. With an X through it. They didn't ride the bus. And where did this happen? Let's reread. So this happened in Montgomery. So Montgomery is kind of a long word. So Montgomery is spelled M-O-N-T-G-O-M-E-R-Y. M-O-N-T-G-O-M-E-R-Y. Or you can just draw a picture of the city like this. Little windows. This is my city. Let's keep reading. But if you don't ride the buses, we'll go out of business. Then maybe you should think about changing your rules. Finally, the rules were changed. Public buses were no longer allowed to separate people based on the color of their skin. And that was only the beginning. Eventually, we were allowed to drink from the same water fountains, ride the same elevators, and yes, go to the same schools. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote that we're all created equal. Finally, the nation was starting to act like it. Now can we say hooray? Soon, we're close. Of course, that didn't mean that the fight was over. There were thousands of other people just like that bus driver. But after hearing how I didn't give up my seat, now there were thousands of people more just like me. Together, inspired, and committed to Justin. My name's Martin. Want to hear a rough draft of my speech? You bet I do. In my life, people tried to knock me down, tried to make me feel less than what I was. They teased me for being small, for being black, and for being different. Let me be clear, no one should be able to do that. But if they try, you must stand strong, stand for what's right, and stand up for yourself, even if it means it's sitting down. And when you do, others will follow. What's the medal? It's the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the government's highest honors. George Washington got one too. Cool. Now can I say hooray? Go for it. Hooray! I am Rosa Parks. I'm not a politician or a president or an actor or a famous business owner. I'm just an ordinary person. But I'm also proof that there's no such thing as an ordinary person. I hope you'll always stand up for yourself, and I hope you'll remember that we're all in this together. And here's pictures of Rosa Parks. Alrighty, second graders, thank you for reading that book with me and asking our important questions of who, what, when, and where. Let's go through our chart together and see. Alrighty, so this book was about Rosa Parks and about the people of the city. And what happened? Well, first, when Rosa Parks was 11 years old, this kid on roller skates pushed her. When she was 42 years old, she stood up for herself and she didn't move off the bus. And where did this story take place? Where did all this happen? Well, it happened on the bus. And what else happened in the story? The people of the city stopped riding the bus in the city of Montgomery. And what happened after that? Yeah, they changed the rules and they made everyone be able to ride the bus equally and use the same water fountains and the same elevators and to be treated fairly. Alrighty, second graders, we read a really powerful story just now, and I want to make sure that you guys know that from the bottom of my heart, you guys are all equal, and that you guys are all one of my favorite students, and that my teacher heart loves each and every single one of you. So thank you for reading this with me, and I'll see you next time.